Oh, what a long wait it's been for the Boston Bruins. One whole year, not in the playoffs, Razor. Understatement of the show. We are spoiled here as the Boston Bruins get back into the NHL playoffs. The greatest time of the year for us and hopefully for all of our fans listening or watching as the Boston Bruins get set to take on the Buffalo Sabres. The series will start in Buffalo. We know as we sit and record this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor, Sunday, most likely evening, is when game one will be. We do not have an exact time. We do not have the exact television network nationally, but we don't give a you-know-what about that because every game in the first round is on NESN. Full pre and post and full game broadcast on NESN. So as soon as we get the time, you'll hear it. It will come very late tonight. After the Western Conference games are done. Razor, one whole year. Bruins with a miserable 24-25, but a beautiful 25-26 get themselves back into the playoffs. It does give everybody a different look on life, doesn't it? Knowing that the Boston Bruins are back in the playoffs.
Certainly does. Certainly takes a lot of the negativity out of things, which is nice. And it just goes to show you this game and this league is so difficult on one aspect, but can flip and change so quickly on the other.
This is a Boston Bruin team that put it on the line most every game. Sure, there was some clunkers. Every team has them every year, not just this year, but this year even more so given the condensed schedule. There was a couple of 6-gamers where they didn't get a victory. Most every team, maybe outside of Colorado, and even they had one run where they didn't win for multiple games. But this Bruins team has found a way regularly to right the proverbial ship. Why have they been able to do that, Razor? What has made this team, we've used the resilient word numerous times with them. Why do you think they've been able to be so resilient?
Well, it's a few things. Number one, they got the right coach in Marco Sturm. There's no question about that. He's been paramount to this resurgence and this comeback with his system, which is a new one, something we haven't seen here in a really long time, with his confidence, with his belief, and with his demeanor. I think he was really a perfect fit in being hard, being firm, but also having that personal touch, having that player touch, being a Miners the last few years, being able to relate to the younger guys and also some of the guys that we didn't have expectations for, but he had high expectations for, in the Tanner Janots of the world and the Victor Arvidssons of the world, guys he had personal relationships with and gave them a lot of confidence at the start of the year. I think you go to the goaltending next. Jeremy Swayman and Jonas Korpisalo were fantastic all season long. Maybe a handful of times where you didn't get an effort that you really wanted from the goalie position all year long. So that, and then the power play. Those three things: coaching, goalie, power play. Things that win in regular seasons, things that win in the playoffs as well.
I also think that they had a purpose this year too of we'll show you, kind of underdog mentality. And you're not an old team, but you've got a lot of veterans. Does that make sense? Like you're not long in the tooth. Corrali's the oldest one on this team. Am I forgetting anybody? Right. And he's in his early 30s. So you've got a lot of guys that have been around. And I think there was a lot of kind of FU, like, hey, you know what? We're going to show you that we're not the same old or last year's Boston Bruins. We're more of what you were used to here. We're gonna play with that piss and vinegar that Cam Neely talked about at the season opening presser at Warrior. And I think that's played a lot into it. You can speak to this better than me, partner. I don't know if you have that on every team every year. I just don't know if you do. And whether it was Charlie McAvoy persevering through tremendous angst, physical and mental angst this year, or guys as you said, like on the second line. I mean, who would have thought Casey Middlestat and Victor Arvidsson would perform like they did, and then Pavel Zacha reaching another level. I do think there was that form of "we'll show you," which you can't manufacture, right? You just can't in the end.
No, you can't. And you also need the right people to be able to handle that. And we've seen this even over the last few days of the teams that didn't make the playoffs and the coaching staffs talking about when things got hard, we didn't have the right people. We didn't have the leadership. We didn't have the willingness to fight through it. And this group, this Boston Bruins group, proved through all of the hard times that they didn't give an inch. They continued to push forward. They didn't feel bad for themselves. They didn't have any looking around for excuses. They just kept staying at work. And again, so much was made on the outside about leadership. Why is there no captain? Why is there this? Like all of the things that were criticized about this group at the start of the year have been put to rest. And again, I think that does go to your point of wanting to prove, and it's one thing to want to prove. It's another thing to put your head down and do it. And that's what this group did.
They've done it beautifully. Now, with that said, all that has done is gotten them a berth into the playoffs. That's all that's done.
Yeah, but that's better than just that, right? Like I know we're doing playoffs now, but that's a big deal. There's a lot of really good hockey teams that aren't playing this weekend, and organizations that thought they were doing the right thing that didn't get here. So we've talked about this and getting in the playoffs, and not only that, like the other thing too is they're the fifth best team in the Eastern Conference. I know they're wild card too, but they're the fifth best team. And there's a lot to be said for that too. This isn't a wild card team that just snuck in. Mm-hmm. This is a legit team that got 100 points.
Yeah, and again, in addition, I get what you totally agree with what you're saying too. They've helped reestablish that, hey, these are the Boston Bruins. They can beat you.
Correct.
You might think they're not going to, but yet they can because they're the Boston Bruins. Last year, people were saying, this is not an identifiable Boston Bruins team. This is not identifiable. This is not what we're used to. We don't like the look of this. We don't like the feel of this. They've re-identified. The culture had to be reset and tweaked because that just happens when different new players leave and new players come in. Mm-hmm. So they did a really good job with that. But with that said, now they got their first round playoff ready to go against a real upstart. I would not call the Bruins an upstart. I would call them a reimagined team. Now you get this team in Buffalo that has been so bad for years. Last time they played was 2010. I did that series. I remember it somewhat vividly on Versus flying around. That was actually the series Razor where I had to run home after game 3, fly quickly from Boston. I was living in New York then. That was I made Jake's birth by 24 minutes.
Nice.
I did. So that was the Boston Buffalo series. And then after he was born and everything was good, I got back right on the road to finish off that series. I also worked the series against Philadelphia after that. We don't need to go there. But this is the first time since Buffalo's been in it, and this is going to be an absolute challenge. This is going to be a raucous building. Both these buildings are going to be electric. It's two of the best. I mean, I call it the OG, sorry. Whatever it's called now. Do you even know the name of it anymore? It was
KeyBank. Right.
Is it still KeyBank?
I think so.
It was HSBC, and now it's KeyBank.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's going to be going bonkers. Tickets are so expensive there. Let's get to it. Let's break this down. And we're going to have Marty Biron on in about 20, 25 minutes or so. Longtime Buffalo Sabres broadcaster, former Sabre himself, a wonderful guy all around. I know I can talk and go on. Marty is right up there with me. I love the guy. So, folks, you'll enjoy this as we get a Sabres perspective. But let's talk about the Bruins and the matchup and how it's going to go, because you're going to be facing a team that's also going to be full of P&V, my friend, because they're going to be looking to show something. The Bruins, let's start experience. The Bruins, if I'm correct, only have 4 players in the lineup I expect to play on Sunday, Razor, that haven't had one playoff game experience. And it's the kid line that are 3 of the 4. Kastelik would be the other one that hasn't played in an NHL playoff game. Buffalo, meanwhile, I think it's 11, give or take. Does it really make a difference? I guess let's start with that. How much does that experience make a difference?
Oh, it'll make a difference. It'll absolutely make a difference. I don't think it's not too many teams get in for the first time and go on a long run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think that as the series goes on, that goes away. Mm-hmm. But certainly early in the series, what you feel the level that the level that the first game of the playoff goes to, it's different. It's a different sport. It's a different game, and I think that will, for the guys that have played it before, they understand that, they know the level's going up, and the other guys, and until you feel it for the first couple of games, you don't necessarily feel up to speed, or you're chasing the game just a little bit. So again, I don't think through the entire series that it matters, but in the big spots and the tough situations and the different scenarios, when your brain can go 100 million miles an hour, the guys that have done it before and have gone through tough situations, have gone through game sevens, gone through overtimes, they're just going to feel a little more comfortable, I think.
All right. And checking notes, made one more mistake. Add Jonathan Aspero to the mix there too. So five Bruins that haven't. But I think of Aspero as such a vet, for what it's worth. All right. So if experience plays a big difference, is there any more bigger difference than in net, where Jeremy Swayman, Jonas Korpisalo have both had significant playoff experience compared to the 0 games played by Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? UPL will be their starter. The question for them is, will Alex Lyon be their backup or not come game 1? Maybe Marty can tell us or not. We catch up with him soon. But, is that the most obvious and most substantive place where experience matters, or does every position matter equally, my friend?
Well, I think the goalie's always a little different. I think for sure the Bruins have that check mark. There's no doubt about that, with the way that Swayman's played this year, on top of him getting experience in world championships and Olympics and playing game sevens and playing the defending Stanley Cup champions once, and he's shown in all those big spots. So that doesn't mean that Pekka Luukkonen can't be J.S. Giguere and go for a run as a goaltender. Again, I think UPL will be nervous and unsure the first game, but once that gets going, I think that gets more comfortable for him as things go on. But without a question, the Bruins have the check mark in goal from my point of view.
We will get a scouting report from Marty Biron. You guys can talk goalie talk when he's on there on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. What about then? Let's work from the goalie out. Defense. I gotta tell you, I respect the top 4 of the Buffalo Sabres, starting with Rasmus Dahlin an awful lot, and Samuelson, Owen Power, and Byron Bowen. I really like their top 4 an awful lot, Razor. I'm not as convinced about their depth pair, the third pair, but if you look at the Bruins, what do we think defensive, as we match up, so to speak, the 2 D crews? Where do you see differences looking at this series?
I would say one big difference is, and Stanley's kind of like this, but Zadorov and his physicality and his presence is better than any of the other 11 defensemen in the series when it comes to playoff hockey and what you think of that. We haven't seen Nikita Zadorov in playoffs, but he's gone on quite a few runs in the past and been very important, especially why the Bruins got him last year was because of the run he was in Vancouver and how well he played in those playoffs. He's a playoff type guy. So I look at him, I think Dahlin, he's a rat. Everyone hates him out on the ice. He's going to be chippy. You remember Marchand ripping his helmet apart last year. Every year, there's 3 or 4 times a year where guys go after him, which looks like for no reason, but he is a rat. So he's going to be difficult to play against. He's playing at a high level. He's the captain. He's the leader. He finally got to the playoffs. He's a great defenseman. Agree. Bo Byram's been around a little bit. He was in Colorado, so he knows what winning looks like from this point of view. So it's similar. I think a key for the Bruins is what you get on the right side, right? What you get on the right side after Charlie, between Lowry and Peak, can they continue their good play in big minutes, especially on the road?
Charlie's been excellent offensively, getting over 60 points this year. I'll tell you what, though, Buffalo does have the advantage from offense from the back end.
Oh, yeah.
In Byram in particular, even Samuelson all of a sudden became a goal scorer.
He got like 15 goals, right?
Yeah, this year. And he's a folks, Matthias Samuelsson, who's Ulf Samuelsson's son, if you remember him from his, or not Ulfie, Shell Samuelsson, beg your pardon, Shell Samuelsson. He's a significant defender for them. There's a really good chance at home that he and Dahlin are going to go up against the Elias Lindholm line, I would figure. That would be their mark. But he has become, like, remember, he was the guy who was going to get run out of town a year ago, and now all of a sudden he's become this major stud for them back there. He's become what they always thought he would, and it's significant. So they're top four, a lot of respect for them. But I think the Bruins, if it's a different look from the back end compared to the pushing the pace and getting involved in the offense from the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, to me, one of the big keys in this series is going to be how the Bruins D handled the Buffalo Sabres off the rush. That's the big thing. Neutral zone is going to be an important area of this ice. If the Bruins screw around with the puck and, pucks in, pucks out, pucks in type thing, blue line to blue line, I think they're going to be in trouble, Razor. I do. I think they're going to be in trouble or that would make things much harder for them, because I think that we've seen exposure happen against, in the past, Buffalo, but Ottawa is an off the rush type team. Buffalo wants to play like that. They're not afraid to play grind, but they're not built totally for it. They are more built off the rush, and they're damn good at it.
They are very good off the rush, and that's it. Has there been a team that's won by being off the rush? That's kind of, does it work? Will it work still? That'll be up to the Bruins, of course, a lot. That'll be up to how they play and how attentive they are to that neutral zone, both with the puck and without. But the Florida Panthers didn't beat them with off the rush play the last couple of years. The Carolina Hurricanes didn't beat them with off the rush play. So I'm curious what it looks like. Buffalo's very good at it. Very good at it. And to your point of the D being able to jump in the rush, that's a big part of why they have all their scoring. Mm-hmm. And also just how they play. Can the Bruins dial in their neutral zone here in the next 3 days?
You're going to have to. Guys that can turn it up, Tage Thompson, arguably top 5 shot in the National Hockey League. And that's saying something.
Yep.
Given how many guys can blast the puck. Alex Tuch lately has really brought it. He has gotten himself going. He catapulted up to number 3. He's 66 points on the season. Darlene had 74 points. Tage Thompson 81 points in 81 games. So these guys really did it. But to me, the difference now with the Buffalo Sabres, besides having those guys, are the guys, that next layer of guys, the Josh Stones, the Ryan McLeods, Jack Quinn, even Jason Zucker. Zucker had 45 points this year. They have good middle depth, especially middle offensive depth. And this is where, where the Bruins, how their third line, which looks to be starting with James Higgins is a 19-year-old on the left side, along with a 21-year-old center, Fraser Mitten, and a 23, 24-year-old Murat Husnudinov. I mean, that kid line, they're going to be up for it, especially on the road. I do think that offensive depth for Buffalo could be a certain issue for the Bruins. How about that?
They're going to have to possess pucks. The Bruins are. They're going to have to hold on. They're going to have to make everybody go 200 feet, because those guys and those point totals, they've been able to create so much momentum through their season by skating and moving and pushing the pace. And it fits right into, Jack Quinn, right? Like, mm-hmm. He's going to have a hard time going low. He's not a great defensive guy, but if he can go up and down the wing and get on the rush, he's going to be really dangerous. And Doan's the same idea. Norris is the same idea as players.
Norris is a key. I think he and Doan are keys for this team, Razor.
They are. And can Norris stay healthy? And Doan, can he just is this what he is? That's what the Buffalo Sabres really are going to have to answer in the playoffs and in this first round is are they really this team? Are they really what we've seen through the regular season, or did things just go really well for them the last few months?
Well, the Bruins also then have some, using that kind of theory or comment, maybe they've got some questions too, with regard to like that second line. Can they really be as impactful as they were? By the way, congratulations to both Casey and to Pavel on the birth of their child.
Way to get it out of the way.
Yes. Wives, very, very nice wives. They working the magic. Again, women rule the roost making sure the babies are born. And I went over to Warrior for a bit. You want to talk about energetic practice? I mean, those guys.
Oh, this is the best practice of the year. I
This
was
is
saying that earlier today to somebody. Like, this is the best day of the entire season. Probably the only day that I really miss not being in the mix. Only day, because I can forget about all the bullshit to get to this point and all the travel and the no sleep and all the pain. But this day is the best. When you get off your day off, the regular season, and now you're preparing, you're watching video, you know you're going to play this team 7 times. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and the players were so into it. It was so vocal.
Great.
There was cheering going. They were giving it. They were making life tough on Corpy. Some backdoor drills, working him hard right there. But that was what the Bruins were working on. One of the things we were chuckling about that. Everybody appears healthy, great. But like to your getting back to the questions, is Buffalo what they are? Can this second line be as impactful as they were in the regular season? They have to be. I mean, to me, unless the first line takes off at a different level that we've seen. How long do the Bruins keep that first line together? Do they break it up? Where do you put? We know where you're starting James Hagens, but and by the way, I'm comfortable with him starting there. Are you comfortable with him starting there?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's give him a run. Give him a run. That's where the first line's going to stay together as long as the third line's good. Mm-hmm. And then once they have an issue there, then they might have to move things around. But until then, I think the first line's very dependent on the third line staying together.
I think the fourth line can have a significant impact in this series. I do think that Buffalo's fourth line, where a guy like Beck Malenstein has gotten much better. But I do think it's an advantage overall for the Bruins. You mentioned the name Logan Stanley. He was brought in along with Luke Schenn. Stanley's from Winnipeg at a deadline day trade. Bought in to both of them for their veteranness. Luke for having played numerous playoff games as well. Along with a guy like Jordan Greenway there. I mean, Buffalo appears more capable of handling the tough stuff if needed, Razor, in this series. And I think that was important. I don't think they were saying, let's get those guys just to play the Boston Bruins, but it's a nice thing for them to have if Logan Stanley does want to drop the mitts, or needs to, I should say. If the fourth line for the Bruins, I think they can be a difference maker, a 12-minute difference maker for this team. We've seen them do it an awful lot this season. To me, that is somewhere where I think the Bruins also have an advantage in this series.
Yeah, the physicality, they should be able to keep their engines running the entire way. They should be able to keep up the pace of the forecheck, of their net presence. They've done a great job on faceoffs and on their defensive zone as well, with both, especially all three of them playing so much PK time. I think they're good in their own zone. And yeah, if they shouldn't have to chip in offensively, but certainly the last week and a half, the way they've played offensively has got to give them a boost as well going into this.
Absolutely. It's got to make them feel good. Another guy who's got to feel good is Morgan Geekie. It makes me feel better seeing him put the puck in the back of the net. He has to be good. We've said that numerous times on our show, on the air, everywhere, because that makes just such a different look for this team. When you've got two guys, and if Pasternak starts shooting it a bit more, and we're talking with Brick pregame last game about how he's carrying the puck more. We all agree, would like to see him actually carry it a little bit less, just to get and shoot a little more. If that can get going too, then you've got a real robust offense. So it's going to be interesting. One other little area here, and I'm going to ask Marty about it too, that I found not curious, but interesting, is how Buffalo's power play is struggling lately an awful lot. Bruins, okay, not as great as it was before, but better. But the matchup that's interesting is how the Bruins power play top 10 and top 5 penalty kill for the Buffalo Sabres. They're very aggressive PK as we break down the series. You got to watch out for, especially a guy like Alex Tuch. He is so good turning the Jets on. He's got really good routes that he takes, and the rest of the team does as well. To me, that could be, even though you don't get a lot of power plays, maybe that's why it's even more significant, that matchup. The Bruins have got to get something going, and it looks like to start the series, Razor, that the Bruins will go to a second unit that has James Hagens on it. and just one defenseman, either Lindholm or Lowry up top.
I saw them. Buffalo score a shorthanded goal last night. Benson got one against Dallas. It's the specialty. Like the Bruins don't want to play 5-on-5 in this series. They have to do a great job staying out of the box, and I don't think they want to get into a power play penalty kill game with this group. I think because of their aggressive penalty kill, it can expose the Bruins just a little bit if their entries aren't as sharp as they need to be. And then on the flip side, their power play struggled, but you don't really want that. That's really like, I feel like that's more of an opportunity for them to get going than the Bruins on the power play in the special teams.
You don't want to give them an opportunity to get their power play going.
Yeah.
You just don't. Let's take a moment here to recognize our sponsors, and then we're going to welcome in the one and only Marty Biron. And we're going to talk an awful lot specifically about the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to give us all the goods, because Marty does. He's actually, I call it the greats, not the goods. He gives us the greats because that's how good Marty is. But first, he's just joining, but he's going to have to listen to us quickly talk about the sponsors that make Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor possible. We're going to start with Sunset Lake CBD. Sunset Lake CBD until April 22nd has got an unbelievable deal going because it's their special 420 sale for 2026. Use the code 420 and you get 30% off site-wide. Everything is on sale. Everything. All of their great products, all their CBD, all their rubs, all their tinctures, their gummies, whatever. I'm telling you, go to sunsetlakecbd.com/morningbrew and use the code 420 to get 30% off site-wide. What they are doing right now up in northern Vermont, great products. Go check it out. Use the code 420. Fazenda Coffee. So after you've taken your CBD and you want a little jolt of espresso or something, morning brew blend, go to fazendacoffee.com and use the code PLAYOFFS. That's right. The Bruins are back in the playoffs after 1 year. Marty Biron would give anything to miss the playoffs just for 1 year with the Buffalo Sabres and not the 2 decades almost that they did. fazendacoffee.com/morningbrew to go for Fazenda Coffee. And if you buy one bag of coffee, Razor, you get another one at 30% off. Any you want. I mean, I would do the morning brew blend, right? But you can do whatever you want. So go check that out. Use the code PLAYOFFS. You count on Copeland Razor because you know how good of service and quality they have, because you can count on Copeland Automotive Group, right?
100%. They're fired up down in Brockton, down on the Cape, and ready to go for the playoff run. And you need some servicing. You need a new car. Springtime's a good time. Head out to count on Copeland. Tell them we said hi.
Absolutely. 5 different dealerships. CountOnCopeland.com, the place to go. Sparks Hockey and the finest at-home skate sharpener you can buy. Go to sparkshockey.com and you can decorate it with your favorite NHL team if you want. They've got the great looking logos you can put on there. Sparkshockey.com. And lastly, Tresca. It's the playoffs. The only thing more consistent with Tresca is Audio Slave. Are they going to play Audio Slave, do you think? The Cochise coming out? Or do the Bruins have a new On the Ice song, you think, for these playoffs? What do you think, Razor? You think they'll have one or no? I mean, to me, I'm a huge Audio Slave fan, so I hope they keep that. I hope they stick with tradition.
They got to stick with tradition. Yeah, 100%.
I hope
they'll stick with
tradition. Go to Boston's North End. Visit Tresca, 233 Hanover Street. Make a reservation, TrescaNorthEnd.com, or call 617-742-8240. And Tresca is going to present the dish of the night during the playoffs. All right, Razor? So we get to talk about a great dish on the ice, and we then off the ice.
Love it.
Tresca. All right, now this guy doesn't dish. Well, he does dish. He actually dishes it. He dishes it. He brings it all the time. Like Forrest Gump said, it happens. You dish it. You're on the legend.
He doesn't say it happened. There's a bumper sticker that says something else, but I don't know what kind of a PG-13 for a mature audience we have here, so I won't say it.
No, we let the shit go on this one. Don't you worry at all, my friend. Welcome to Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. I am outnumbered significantly by outstanding people and great goaltenders in Marty and Razor. You two guys very familiar with each other. Marty, you were at the Buffalo Sabres organization from the late 90s until what, mid 2000s or so. And now how long have you been broadcasting for them? It's like forever. You've become like the new Mr. Sabre.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years now on the broadcast team as well. I did about 3 years of freelance work where I was with you, Jaffe, Billy. We were at NHL Network doing some crazy stuff together, covering all-star games and finals. But yeah, I got drafted in 95, right? So I played a couple of games as an 18-year-old because everybody was injured. I got lucky with that. But it wasn't until 99, 2000 that I was Sabres. And look, I remember, so funny enough, 98, 99, Sabres, Boston, the last time they played in the playoffs. Sabres beat the Bruins, Byron Dafoe in net with the Bruins, right? Dominic Hasek at the other end. I was in Rochester, and we ended up playing Providence in the Calder Cup final, and Providence got everybody back from Boston, and we had everybody in Buffalo. So Peter Laviolette was the coach, obviously. John Graham was the goalie. They got Landon Wilson and Aaron Downey back, and Perpick and whatever. Like, they had all these guys, and they ran us out of the building. We lost in 5 to Providence. But that was the last time Buffalo and Boston met up in the playoffs.
Well, it's great to have you on to talk about everything Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, is it 2011? Like, did they play
10,
again
2010.
2010, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, but listen,
they played in 2010. Sorry.
Do not let the facts get in the way of a good Marty Biron rant.
You know what? A good story, it's believable, right? I told it like it was believable.
Well, it was believable.
You had me.
You had me thinking, shit, didn't they play in 10?
I did.
I was there in 2010, actually, as I told Razor earlier. But anyways, it was still a very worthy story because of how the Bruins and Sabres have had a storied past, sometimes playing against each other. It has not been a storied time, though, in Western New York for the Buffalo Sabres until this year. I know this is a big general question, but I'll try. I'll ask it succinctly, and I'll let you go. What changed? And how freaking nice is it that you guys are finally back? Because you weren't.
It is nice to be back. 2011 was the last time, so it's 14 seasons. Even when they brought in more teams, right? Like when they did the 20-team COVID playoffs, the Sabres were on the outside, or whatever, how many teams they brought in. It just feels like the fan base has been waiting for so many years for this to happen. They've already put up the screens and at Canal Side, right outside the building, for the watch parties, and it's fun for the fans. It's fun for the organization. Obviously, it's great for Lindy Ruff. He was the coach the last time the Sabres made the playoffs. He's been bouncing around. He came back because he was like, I think I can bring what they need. It took him a year and a half to find it, but once he found it, it was something that really worked for the Sabres. And you ask what changed. That's the number one. I even asked Lindy Ruff yesterday. We had him on our show, Sabres Live. I'm like, okay, from my point of view, from my chair, it seemed like for a year and a half, Lindy Ruff, all he kept saying after games is, we didn't manage the puck well. Puck management, turnovers, puck management. We don't know how to win games. And the Jarmo Kekalainen, when he got the job as GM, he said, I don't want this team to be like, we need to score the next goal. I want this team to learn to win games. Meaning, if you're up 2-1 and you have a chance to dump it in and not take a chance, dump it in. I don't care if you score the third goal. Just don't give up the second one. And all of a sudden, Jarmo's message and Lindy's message aligned. And I said to Lindy, I said, is the puck management out of the dictionary now? And he said, no. He said, I still bring it up to the players, but it's not an issue for us anymore. Now, in any single games, it could be sometimes, but overall, it's not an issue. That is what changed for the Sabres. They've matured in their game, and it's everybody that has matured in their game.
Marty, who are the leaders on this team? Who are the Bruins fans need to hate right out of the gates from the Buffalo Sabres?
So I think that their emotional leader on and off the ice is Rasmus Dahlin. It's hard to hate Rasmus Dahlin because he's gone through so much this year. Like last summer, his fiance needed a heart transplant. She was pregnant. They were on vacation in France. She gets sick and she's like, maybe I should get checked out because of the baby. She ends up going in heart failure, stays in the hospital, obviously lost the baby, but it needed a heart transplant. Darlene has gone back to Sweden a couple of times during the season to be with her for doctors. She's back in Buffalo. She came back about 3 weeks ago. Like, they showed her on the Jumbotron. She got a big standing ovation. Like, we feel like we watched Rasmus and Carolina like grow over the years, because Dolls got drafted as an 18-year-old, but has been here for a long time. She's been a part of the community. He's their leader. So would I expect teams to boo him and whatever? Absolutely. That's what's fun about the playoffs. But when you realize what he's gone through and what he had to do this year, like, it's mad respect, right, for Rasmus Dahlin and what he's done. So he's the emotional leader. He's the on-ice leader. They couldn't win games over the last 2 years. They didn't win one game without Dahlin in the lineup. This year, they went 1-3 without him in the lineup. They at least won a game without him, but it's when he's on the ice, it's a big, big difference for the captain.
All right, so give us the top 2 strengths for the Buffalo Sabres as a team, stylistically or system-wise, and 1 or 2 weaknesses or concerns that you have, Buffalo Sabres.
It's easy. The concerns is easy as a power play. The power play finished the season 0-for-22, I believe. They even, like, the game in Chicago, they tried something different. They said, instead of having Rasmus Dahlin at the point on the blue line, we're going to put him on the right flank for the lefty one-timer. We'll put Thompson on the left flank for the righty one-timer, and we'll put Jack Quinn at the top. It wasn't even 20 seconds into their first power play. They turned the puck over. They gave up a shorthanded goal. And you're like, oh, geez, like, they worked on it for 2 days. And so the puck now. And we all know in the playoffs, it's not the percentage on the power play that matters, is when you get your goals, right? That 2-2 game, you get a power play in the third period. Doesn't matter if you're 0-for-6, you got to score on that one, right? So it's not the percentage, it's when you score. Me for the Buffalo Sabre. Their strengths, there's a couple of strengths down the middle. You have Thompson, you have Norris, you have McLeod. And really, like, they had Sam Carrick as a fourth line center, and it was, the middle was awesome. Now Sam Carrick is injured. He got hurt in the fight. Obviously that, he's got a left arm upper body injury, and he's not going to be ready for the start of the playoffs. So probably won't see him against the Bruins, but if they were to continue, it's still a strength. They added Jordan Greenway. He's a depth guy on the fourth line. And when I say they added him, because he wasn't healthy all season and finally healthy at the end of the season, Mount did good. But the strength is their depth, especially down the middle, and their other strength, which it was weird all season long because they had 3 goalies all year. But it's the emergence of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I really look at Luukkonen from the Olympic break, which he didn't take part in the Olympics because he was injured prior to the Olympic break, and so he didn't go with Team Finland. And since he returned, his first game back was against New Jersey in Jersey, a 2-1 win. He's been lights out fantastic. So that, when you have Dominik Hasek, yes, that's a strength. When you have Ryan Miller, yes, that's a strength. But when you have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, is it supposed to be a strength? It's still a big question mark, but I believe that is a strength. Maybe not like Swayman, but it's a strength of the Sabres.
What about the Sabres off the rush? Everyone, lot of analysis that they're great off of the rush. It looks to me like that's something that they thrive on. Is that where they get their offense from? Or for someone like you who watches every day, is that more of an outside noticeable because those are the highlights that we see?
I'm not going to give out secrets because every team is pre-scouts other teams and they really get it. But the Sabres off the rush are one of the better team in the league. And it's because their defense jump on the rush. You got Dahlin, you got Samuelson, who's found an offensive flair this year, Biron, Power. The third pair, it doesn't matter who's on that third pair. They'll join the rush as well. it makes a big difference when instead of going on a 3-on-2, you got a fourth guy that's joining. Now you're taking some chances if you don't manage the puck, and that was a problem, right? Again, puck management. If you turn it over, it's 2-on-1 the other way. So that is a strength of the Sabres, the rush. The other side, and their defense joining is also a strength. They're second in the league in goals by defensemen this year. They got 3 defensemen that have 40 points or more. Look, the Sabres in their history in over 50 years have never 3 defensemen of 40 or more points in the same season. They've got that this year in Dahlin, Biron, and Samuelsson, and that's not even mentioning Owen Power. But one of their strengths that developed maybe in the second half of the season is their cycle game, but not in a traditional way. Usually you think of cycle, it's in the corner, down low. What the Sabres have done really well is the high cycle. So they'll come up the wall with the forward, and then the defenseman will come down the wall, and then the other defenseman will switch over, and it will spread the zone. And all of a sudden, teams are not sure how to react to that. Are we man on man? Are we zone? Like if one person missed their assignment, there's big holes. That has been a really, really strong key to their second half success. The rush is there. The defense joining is there, but their high cycle is something that they've been really utilizing in their success in the second half.
Would you call the Sabres a speed demon type of team or just solidly fast? I know they got a few guys that can bring it, but would you call that they play a fast brand of hockey?
They play a very fast brand of hockey. I'm not sure I'm going to call them speed demon. Like when you think of speed demon, you think of McDavid and McKinnon and McCarr and Quinn Hughes, and but they do have speed. They're quick on pucks. They're good on the forecheck. And maybe you got to look more down the lineup, like your Fort Line or your Benson type guys that are really good on the forecheck. Beck Malenstein this year was clocked in at the fastest speed in NHL Edge player tracking data. Like it's not McDavid, it's not McKinnon, it's Beck Malenstein. You're like, who? But he was clocked at the fastest speed burst ever since basically the pandemic. That's when they started tracking, player data like that. So they do have speed. They're quick on transition, but it's funny because they attack you with speed and then they slow it down. It's almost like they make you think they're going to go and attack with a lot of speed, and then they do crisscross and they have somebody jump in. Like it's a lot of deceptiveness in their game, but they do play a fast game. I'm not going to call them speed demon, but they play a fast game.
Marty, who's your X factor from outside of the Stars for the Buffalo Sabres? You know as well as anyone, there's always, when you win around, there's always a guy further down the lineup, whether it's on the back end, whether it's up front, that takes a step in the series. Who's your guy for the Buffalo Sabres for Bruins fans to be concerned about further down the lineup?
I think Jason Zucker. I was asked today who's the unsung hero, and I think that Zucker, you mentioned like who's their glue, and Dahlin is the glue, but Zucker is such a veteran presence in the locker room. He's their best power play goal scorer this year. You would think Thompson or Tuck or Dahlin or Quinn or whatever. It's Zucker in front of the net on the goal line. I think he could be like the X factor. Just because his game is kind of tailor-made for playoffs. He's got grit. He get under the other team's skin. He goes to the front of the net. He'll bump in the goalie once in a while, and we may have a couple of calls that will go one way or the other with goalie interference, and it probably will be Zucker or Benson that on top of Jeremy Swayman. Like that's really where it is, and I think Zucker could be that X factor. Obviously, both guys, right? Like both teams are going to need Pasternak's going to have to be good. Geeky's going to have to be good. McAvoy's going to have to be good. Thompson, Tuck, they're going to have to be good. Dahlin. But then there's like the second wave. And I think Zucker, if he can be better than the Boston Bruins second wave and have that impact, then the Sabres are going to, win the X factor battle.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago, UPL is the strength of this team. Give us a Marty Biron goalie analysis, or just kind of on his style and what to look for from UPL.
So the thing with UPL is he's a pretty big goalie. He doesn't look that big, like, because he plays crunched over a little bit and wide, but he's extremely athletic, extremely fast laterally. That was the battle all year with the Sabres. Alex Lyon was really good, but it was more like structure, let the puck hit him, be a big guy, and that's it. And Luukkonen had the maybe higher ceiling because he could make the crazy saves, the stretch, the 2-on-1. At times, and maybe we'll see in the playoffs, because of the emotions and the energy, he chases the game a little bit. And when he starts chasing the game and starts going forward at players, then a lot of lanes, a lot of holes open up. But he's really worked hard on that in the second half of the season. Seems to be more wanting the game to come to him. But if you, like most Finnish goaltender, really quick glove, extremely flexible, quick lateral, that would be my scouting report on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
What's Lindy Ruff going to do? What is he, a matchup guy? Is he going to be a hard matchup a la Mike Babcock, or on home ice? Is he going to let his guys go and let them play? What's your sense of who plays against who early on in this?
My sense is we will see a lot of Dahlin and Samuelsson potentially against David Pastrnak to start. It's not about the forwards matchup, because really, like, I look at their top three lines. Do you want Norris, Doan, and Benson as your shutdown group? Not really. Do you want McLeod, Quinn, and Zucker? Maybe it's better, but it's not really we're the shutdown line, right? And Thompson, Tuck, and Krebs. And we'll know if Noah Ostlund comes back at some point. He was injured. It was supposed to be day-to-day, and it lingered into weeks. But Ostlund's a good rookie that they've relied upon on the third line. So we'll see. For me, it's more like, and I remember when I was with the Rangers, and Girardi, Ryan McDonough, Mark Stahl. Those were our top three defensemen. And one of those guys, or most likely two of those guys, were on the ice every time Ovechkin, every time, like the top players on the other teams were on the ice. And I think that's going to be the same thing. You're either going to see Dahlin and Samuelsson, or Dahlin and Byram, or Samuelsson and Power Byram. Like, you're going to see that top four play heavily against the best players. And then you don't have to really worry about hard matchups, because that you're at home or on the road, you can always kind of have a responsible defenseman to be able to play against the other team's top lines.
With the rousing success that this team had, especially after the new year, and in particular even after the Olympic break, where they only lost 4 regulation games, are the fans just happy that they got in, or is this like, no, this has been, I know it's been forever, we're going on 15 years now, right? But like, is this like, you guys, you gotta, like, is the pressure there, or is it just such a euphoric kind of, oh my gosh, we're playing playoff games, that everybody's just like, let's just see what happens?
The pressure's there because they're first in the Atlantic. I mean, they earned that pressure, right? They performed at a level that should say, hey, we should go more than just, being in the playoffs. We should go a couple of rounds, maybe conference finals, maybe Stanley Cup finals. Who knows? I think that the East is really tight. I mean, going from, Ottawa all the way to Carolina, I mean, it is 4 really tight matchups this year. So there's pressure with that too. But the fan base, I mean, if you guys have followed the Buffalo Bills over the last few years, the Bills have been a fantastic team. They've had some great success. They've lost in the AFC Championship game to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, and it's like, they stink. They're awful. Fire the coach. Fire, get rid of Josh Allen, whatever. And we're like, oh, settle down here. They're a great team. They've given you like success, and it's like not enough. So I think the fan base this is great, and it quickly turns into, well, you can't like lose in 6. Like, you got to win, and you got to go and then play Montreal or Tampa. You got to win, and then you go play Carolina or whatever. You got to win. So I think that's the mindset now, is like, okay, this team showed us how good they could be. Let's not just limp in the playoff. Let's win some series. And I think that fan base is demanding for a good reason. They've earned it. They've supported the team a long time without it, so they can be demanding.
Marty, you got the best stories. My favorite guy to listen to. You got the best stories. Give us a Bruins story. I know you have some kind of a Bruins story. Give us one.
I have a few Bruins stories. You know what? I used to hang in the underneath the seats in off the visiting room of the the visiting room had. So the locker room attendants had their cage there. They had a couch, they had a TV. I used to go there like after morning skate and just hang out and watch a little TV and have a Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever, just before like waiting for the bus of my time, in Boston playing against the Bruins. I used to sneak out at the start of the game when I wasn't playing, and I would watch the montage on the Jumbotron because it was always one of the best. Like that pump-up video in Boston was always amazing. I mean, we got beat by the Bruins in 2013 when I was with the Rangers, and we won one game. We got beat in 5, and we were lucky to win a game. And after the game, we lose game 5 in Boston. And after the game, we got on the bus to go to the airport and fly back to New York. And we're waiting, and then nobody's saying anything. We're waiting. All of a sudden, Torts comes out the bus. He goes, "Screw it, we're busing to New York. We had a plane problem or something happened." So now the players got on one bus, and all the trainers, the coaches, staff got on the other bus. It was a Sunday late afternoon. The bus stopped at a McDonald's on the way back to New York because we hadn't eaten. We were going to eat on the plane. And now there's 30 guys that get out, at this poor McDonald's that had one worker and one person flipping the burgers in the back. We couldn't find beers. We couldn't find go out and buy beers because it was Sunday and it was late in the day. So there was nothing open. I've had some fun times. Oh, that same playoff series, I believe we played game 1 and we had 2 days off between game 2. So me and Matt Gilroy, who was obviously played at college in Boston, and we went out and ended up with Gronk on an after party somewhere on Newberry Street. I don't remember where it was. We had a guy named Chris Newberry with us, and he was telling Gronk, "Look, I'm Chris Newberry. I need to go on your shoulders. We need to take a picture by the Newberry Street sign." And Gronk is like, "Okay, whatever. I don't know what that picture is," but he put him on his shoulders and hung him out there. Like, we had some fun in Boston. So not a lot of success. I used to lose to Mike Knuble and Glenn Murray and Joe Thornton and all those guys all the time. It was point nights. I was there for the last Paul Stewart ref game. His last NHL game was in Boston. So Stewie wanted me to create a penalty shot in the third period so that his last call would be a penalty shot. So I said to Stewie, if I can do this, I need an autograph jersey, like referee jersey from you. And he goes, absolutely. So I said, tell Joe Thornton to come with the puck around the net. I'll throw my stick at him. Easiest penalty shot, right? We were down 6-1, and Joe Thornton didn't play for the rest of the game because they were getting ready for playoffs. So that didn't happen. Stewie was like yelling at me, "Come on, get it done, Marty. Let's go." And I was like, "I'm trying. It's not happening." So anyway, lots of fun time in Boston. I can't wait for this series to get going.
As we wrap this up, tell us about the environment that you expect in Buffalo on Sunday night. As we sit and record this morning brew at Jaffe and Razor, all we know is that it's going to be Sunday. We know it's the evening. We don't know specifically exactly what time. Go figure. They've got so much shit going on right now. Anyways, can you envision? Can you even fathom what the attitude, the city is going to be like on Sunday? And part 2 is like, what has the city been like the last couple of weeks?
It's been like it was 20 years ago. I used to drive down the highway in the city, and there's a sign that says "Welcome to Buffalo." And some people had put a tarp over Buffalo, and it said Pominville. So it said "Welcome to Pominville," right, for Jason Pominville. Well, this year somebody put a sign over, and it says "Welcome to Lindy Ruffalo." And so instead of Lindy Ruff, and so like the fans are nuts. We all know people like to party in Buffalo. I think there will be a lot of drunk, loud people. If you can just wait a second. So this is the beer saber that they've been doing at the games. They've ran out. They've sold out every time they've had the beer sabers at the game. They've sold out on the Jumbotron. You got people chugging their beers and spilling their beers all over and pouring over their head. It has been absolutely bonkers. And I think it will continue to be bonkers, especially if they got the beer sabers out and people get drunk. It's going to be a party in Buffalo.
All right. Well, I'm going to do this, even though I always loathe doing this. Let's pretend we're sitting back at the old NHL network, whatever. And we say, all right, handicap the series, which we've kind of done. And now I'm going to say, how do we think this one is going to end up? And since you're the guest, I'll let you start. Then I'll go to Razor, and then I'll give you mine. Go ahead.
So I have the Sabres in 6. I think it's a very tight series. If Swayman outplays Luukkonen by a mile, that will flip to Boston in 6, in my opinion. Down the middle, the Sabres are deeper than the Boston Bruins are at center. On defense, I think Boston can be physical. They got big bodies, and it could be a challenge for Buffalo to create. But it comes down to, if Swayman and Luukkonen are close, Buffalo wins in 6. If Swayman steals a game or two, then Boston wins in 6. But I think it's a lot closer, so I'm going to say Buffalo in 6.
All right, there's one. Razor.
Marty's like the smartest guy in the world. I was going to say almost the exact same thing. I have this in 6, one way or the other. I don't. It's not going the distance. I think one of these teams puts it away later in the series. I'm going to, I'll lean Boston's way, but I see it the same way. I think this is a really close series, but not one of those slugfests that goes 7 automatically. Like we can always pick a series where you're like, that's 7. There's no Dallas, Minnesota, that's 7. Yeah. Automatic, that's 7. This one's 6 for me. I'll say Bruins just because of Swayman.
I do want to be different and say, no, it's going to go 7. And, heck, what independent contractor wouldn't take the extra game fee, right? We all know that. But I agree. I kind of feel like 6 as well. I do. I think this has got 6 on it. If it goes 7, I would take the Bruins, believe it or not, visiting ice. I would. And I think that's where experience would come into play, and the Bruins would get it. As it is 6, if the Bruins are at home, I'll take the Bruins. To sit here and tell you I'm 100% confident, I'd be freaking lying to you right now. But I am confident that this is going to be a fun series. I do think it will be more physical than perhaps people expected. I wonder if, guys like Stanley, I don't know how much we'll see Shen. He's only played a couple of games, but I know that's why they were brought in at trade deadline. Carrick, obviously, but as you said, he's out. He's a big loss as far as I'm concerned. Not the end of the world, but it's a big loss. The Bruins, as we were talking before you joined us, Marty, are an incredibly resilient group this year. If they can keep that resiliency up and manage the puck, especially in the neutral zone, I think that's where they'll be able to not have issues ever, but withstand, or just enough, the Buffalo Sabres. But if they give them free reign to flow and go, watch out. Buffalo would get going. But I'll take Boston in 6. Marty, it's been
it's like the Vegas lines are close. Like right now it says Buffalo minus 170, I believe, but I think that's gonna drop, and I think Boston's gonna come closer. I would see it as being maybe a minus 140 plus 105, like really close when you look at the betting lines.
Oh, I didn't expect to get that.
Marty knows. Marty knows his numbers.
Holy smokes. All right.
I write them down every day.
Do you? Okay. Well, don't use your name if you're betting.
Oh no, not betting, but if it tells a story.
Somebody knows something.
Vegas is usually not wrong,
something.
so it tells
I know
a
that's
story.
true. That's
Somebody
true.
always
Vegas
knows.
Yeah,
they know a lot. All right, Marty. I'm an equal opportunity eater, as you know. You've spent many a nights with me. And remember, always ask your Uber driver if they've just started or
it's the start or the end of his shift.
For another story for another time. But a gentleman, not a gentleman's, but a very nice bet. Are you a lobster roll guy?
I
you?
love a good lobster roll. Yes. Especially from your neck of the wood, that in Maine or Massachusetts.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take it out of one of the lakes near you. Like,
No.
I mean, I wouldn't take a lobster out of the Erie, right? I wouldn't do that. All right, so we'll put a lobster roll against a couple dozen wings. I think
perfect.
That's fair. Okay.
Perfect. And listen, there's a good chance Duffer and I may be in Boston for game 3 and 4. Because our studio is also used from the Buffalo Bills side of things, and it's the NFL draft. So they have priority. So it looks like we may be coming on the road for a couple of games at the very least. So all I'm saying is that
look out.
We may have to have a, maybe a beer saber or two.
You bring a beer saber. We will, I don't know. We'll find something to do. Maybe we'll do a live sit. We'll have Duffer on too. Yes. Our guy RC maybe can figure out a way that 4 of us can all have it. Brian Duff, one of the great hosts that there is, and another guy at the NHL Network that we work, just a phenomenal human being. Duffer, by the way, he will find some off the charts little underground band to go to as well. There's nobody that finds more music to go to than Brian Duff.
He goes, and even if we have like a break in the schedule, he'll hop on the plane to California and go catch like some bands I've never heard of or and that's what he does when he's on the road. And I've been with him a couple of places and it's awesome. So I'm sure he's got already some stuff lined up in Boston.
All right. Well, we'll set you guys up and we will get together for sure. This has been awesome. Thank you for taking the time to join us here and previewing the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins. Again, all we know, Sunday evening, 7-ish. We know for sure we'll be playing in Buffalo, and that's it. We'll figure out, hopefully by, at least I guess 1 a.m. tonight, guys. We'll have the rest of the schedule. All right, that's going to wrap up this playoff preview show here on Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to all of our listeners and viewers for listening. RC, thanks for putting everything together. Everybody, the playoffs are here. Let's get after it. It's going to be a great time. Enjoy your coffee.